We will move forward over to that
soccer.
sport, to soccer ball. And it's time to discuss. Jason, can you give me a beat?
A beat?
A beat. Jason, can you refrain and give me a Champions League beat, please?
Oh. Bum, 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 bum,
The Champions League of Champions. It's time to discuss some Champions League odds because, yes, they have already been released. And yes, I know full well that the full structure of the Champions League hasn't been formed yet because, yes, come on, the Glasgow Celtic.
I can still promise the Benfica fans they're not going to win. Sorry, guys.
By the time this clip goes up tomorrow, Celtic would have played tonight. So let's just be thankful that this clip was shot before, because if it was shot after, I wouldn't be in the mood to discuss Champions League odds if Celtic were not able to make, which they clearly should. Jesus Christ. You've got a Celtic mug, which is all good. Either way, let's look at the graphic and decide whether or not we agree or disagree with the odds that have been released at the moment. So we have Celtic along with the same rankings as teams like Club Brugge, Besiktas.
No, it's not. And Besiktas has twice the chances of winning.
And this is the unfortunate thing is we are going back 15 years, I believe now, 14 years. Celtic were in a UEFA Cup final against a team that then would go on and win the Champions League the year after, the back-to-back team.
Is there any team you would bet on? I mean, the odds are so crazy that a $10 bet on Celtic pays out, what, $5,000?
Yeah.
That's a day at Chipotle.
Yeah.
Just to maybe turn that into 500 straight days at Chipotle.
There's one thing that's probably, it would have been a good angle to take on this clip, and we're just going to run with it anyway, even though it might not be the title, is has Leicester changed the face of betting when it comes to the Champions League? They're sitting there at 100 to 1. Are you trying to tell me that there isn't going to be thousands of people that have watched Leicester last year?
That number is going to go down. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to bet on Leicester.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that when ESPN ran this, whoever's running these odds haven't slashed Leicester, because if they not learned a lesson from last year, this is a team that forced the bookies to pay out the most amount of money they've ever had to on single bets.
Bookmakers know lightning doesn't strike twice. If I was to take anybody off that list, I do like La Liga and their potential upset. So Villarreal is a team.
Interesting.
Why not? I mean, I wouldn't be that crazy to bet on Celtic. But let's get into the top half of the graphic with the teams that are more likely to win. I do expect Leicester to go down to 50 to 1 based on how much money is going to be on Leicester.
So if we look at this is a more realistic options. And to be fair, 5-10 years ago, the Champions League, you would have had a good chance, Jason, at taking maybe some of the teams in the lower half, because we had a Champions League final, believe it or not, that actually was Porto versus Monaco once in a blue moon. But
I find it offensive that Arsenal and Tottenham are so much higher so have such lower odds
in comparison
to Leicester City, and Leicester City beat them last year.
I know, but you got to think about it this way: is that which teams are growing stronger this year? Arsenal have not given any real strong inclination, but Leicester could potentially be weakened.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's rude.
It is rude. Just very rude to the boys of Leicester, but they don't mind being underdogs.
This is a Yelp review to Westgate Sportsbook. 2 stars.
So we'll start from the top and we'll work our way down. Barcelona, outright favourites this year, as they should be. Please do not state that because Barcelona didn't make the final last year that they shouldn't be favourites. They're adding really, really interesting and smart pieces to their already unbelievably strong team. They didn't have to change anything drastically. They fell short against an Atletico Madrid team that were their kryptonite in that game, and Atletico Madrid, as always, are going to be a team to look out for. I think they're a good bet at 15 to 1. At least fancy them to make the semis again this year. What's interesting, however, is Manchester City. Now, going below the teams like PSG and Atletico is a little insulting to Atletico. I think they're the team that should be the most insulted to this. I would put Atletico at a 10 to 1 shot. They've made the Champions League final twice at the last 4 years. Not a bad statistic to have them potentially put at the 10 to 1 shot.
An arguable, if not best, top 3 striker finisher in the world.
Yeah, and of
course, at the helm.
Yeah, a guy who's only getting better. Antoine Griezmann, undoubtedly one of the players I would consider, as Jason, if you see in the camera, is doing the hotline bling. So I wanted to mention Manchester City. By no means is the 12 to 1 shot flattering to them. I think that it's adequate considering the biggest acquisition they made this year, and that is Pep Guardiola. Yes, he did not deliver Bayern Munich the Champions League.
Yeah, but he got him.
He got him.
If you're going to get to the semifinals, then you're in contention to win, making it a good bet.
Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest factors you have to take in consideration is Guardiola, in quotations, has highlighted that he didn't have a Messi. He's like, Messi is so unique. So in this team, I don't know necessarily if that Messi is going to play. I think he tried to build a team using some Messi-esque figures, like bringing in Robin he's always had Robin, but trying to utilise him more so, bringing in wide players. But I think the infrastructure of Manchester City this season, By no means do I think they're going to win it, but he is building a system there. He's bringing in players like Sané, young players. He seems to be building his own mini Bundesliga with former players in there. We've got Kevin De Bruyne, who was there before, I must state that, yeah, but he was fantastic in the Bundesliga. Now we have Gundogan. Now we have Sané. I think Manchester City already, unless something drastic changes, I'm going to state them in our Premier League preview clip as one of the favourites to win the Premier League. I think they will make a good run at the Champions League this year. I think this season we won't just overlook Man City and be surprised if they make it past a certain stage. I think they're going to be a team to watch. Last season, they proved with a mediocre midfield, stacked with Fernandinho and Yaya Toure. At one point, they had a lower than a 60% pass completion rate, were able to beat a very dominant team like PSG.
Yeah.
Those are big points to take into consideration. They still had individual talent in there. They have Kevin De Bruyne, a player that in any given day can be considered one of the best in the world. It's just now that they have that leader at the helm, Pep Guardiola, who knows what it takes to win this competition.
I'm going to win points with the comment section, as I always try. Forza Juve, I'm rooting for them.
What a team they're building this year, man.
Resilient, they're always in contention just because of their drive. Their mentality, the way they play should be the way that everybody strives to play.
Yeah. The argument that I made about Juventus this year is that, are they going to be stronger than what they were last season? And the same argument I'm going to make for PSG, which I did in the clip, is I just can't say that they're definitely stronger. If Paul Pogba leaves, that's such a crucial asset to that team. Bringing in Dani Alves was a fantastic acquisition. Bringing in Pjanic was a fantastic acquisition. These are players that are going to change their team. Higuain, fantastic acquisition. Are they going to combine to push Juventus over that hump? And by that hump, I mean Champions League final success. Are they going to win the Champions League? Because that's their next level. That's their ceiling that they're trying to reach.
It would be such a great,
It'd be a great story. I just think that when you sell on a Paul Pogba, if we are to take that all these signs are coming together to mean that Paul Pogba is moving to Manchester United, I think that makes them no better off than what they were last season, and therefore I still don't think they're good enough to go on and defeat a Barcelona. Can I see the graphic really quick once more to see
4-1, I believe,
where the rest of those odds? So Borussia Dortmund could be an interesting dark horse to go semi-finals. I think that they've, again, but when they do sell their best defender, you cannot help but favour Bayern Munich to go to potentially reach that distance again. Semi-finals, finals again. They're a team that's always going to be there. Last team to touch on is, of course, the holders. Real Madrid. I did another clip on this. They don't need to add anyone. They don't need to add anyone huge. They've got Morata back from Juventus. It's another good player to bring in. If Benzema goes on a cold streak, he's another player that you could bring in to potentially grab you a few goals. He showcased last year how much of an influence he can be off the bench as well, coming on against Bayern Munich and having an immediate impact. And I think that when you look at the framework of that team, the blueprint of the midfield to be the best in the world is right there. Casemiro, Modric, and Toni Kroos. Don't need to add anyone else in there. Yeah, you want to have people to bring in if they happen to go injured. But that doesn't mean you need to go and splash 80+ million on bringing in a player that's going to upset that dynamic, as they have done in the past with your Jameses. And then you see Di Maria go away, and that they kind of lose their steam a little bit. I think that this season, they proved that they can win the Champions League. They proved that they have the blueprint of a fantastic season. And again, similar to Pep Guardiola, Jason, they have a manager who is focused, who is hungry, who wants to deliver success to this team and isn't going to be pushed around by the bigger members of the board.